Hey guys, it's Pawn here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a command line application in TypeScript. So let's get started. I have a project opened up here, and I'm going to go ahead and run bun in it. And there we are. And here I have just a simple app. See, with this, if you don't have bun, if you're not using bun, you can just go ahead and make all these things manually. But this just comes with an index.ts and a tsconfig, just normal things you'll need. So one of the main things I want to do first in our tsconfig here is say resolve JSON module, and we want to set this to true. This will be important later when we're trying to get our version from our package.json. Okay, so let's go ahead and start installing some dependencies. So we're going to be using two main things in this project. One is called ts-argparser. ts-argparser. So this is the package we're going to be using to parse command line arguments, and this will be important for getting the type of app someone wants to make and getting the version, making a help command. This is just an overall good thing to have when you're making a command line interface. And then the other one is going to be called SS colors. So SS colors is just going to be our terminal color application. So let's just go ahead and start installing these. So I'm going to go bun I ts-argparser. And there's our argparser. And if you don't have bun, you can run npm install and then the same packages that I'm doing. And then we're going to go ahead and, of course, install SS colors for our terminal coloring. And there we go. So let's go ahead and start importing some things in our code editor. So let's start by importing our two main modules. So we're just going to go ahead and go import color from SS colors, and then import argparse from ts-argparser. And here we are. So let's just go ahead and do a test to make sure everything is running smooth. So I'm just going to go ahead and console.log color.red. Hello. And then bun run index.ts. And there it is. So this is just giving you an example of what we'll be doing with this color module. And it looks like everything's working fine. But again, if you don't have bun, you can use ts-node and do the same thing I'm doing here. And as well as npm and everything. So now that we know everything's working fine, let's go ahead and start making our actual command line. And I spelled argparse wrong. So, the one thing that ts-argparser has is a built-in version command, but you need to pass in a package.json object so I can read the version of your application. So I'm going to go ahead and import star as, we'll say pj for package.json from /package.json. So this is going to allow us access to our file. Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure this import works real quick by console.logging. And to access the name, we're going to do pj.default.name. And run it again. And there it is, ts-CLI, which is the name in here. And if .default.name doesn't work, you should be able to just use .name. So now that we know everything's working, let's go ahead and start setting up our argument parser. So ts-argparse will say whenever you put in this argument, let it run a function. So we're just going to go ahead and set up some simple action functions. So let's go ahead and set up a class. So we'll say class actions, and then let's just say static just action. And then this is going to be important because we're going to allow it to take in some data. So let's just give data a type of any, and then say console.log data. So we will be using this later. So the next thing we want to do is set up our options. This is actually going to be our arguments that the user can put in the command line. So let's just say, so we're just going to say const options equals, and this will be a list of objects. So this first object here is going to be our command. So each one of these objects is a command. So each command, actually, so if I pull up the documentation here, then we'll look what a normal option looks like. So as we can see here, each option will have a name, and we'll just make this action. And then we're going to need some aliases. So this is what this action will be called with. This will actually be a list, sorry. And then we're going to say some aliases will be -a or --action. So whenever the user types whatever your application is, -a, it will execute this. And then we, of course, need to set up our action. And our action is going to be this actions class up here. So we're going to say actions.action, because our static action here. So what this is going to do is, when this is called, it is going to execute this action, and our action is defined here. And if you don't want to use a class, you can just set up a function outside of it, but I think this keeps it a little bit tidier. And also, make sure you don't make sure you don't put parentheses, or it will get called every time, no matter what, and we don't want that. And then we need a description, and we'll just say the action to perform. That's fine with me. And then we need args. So because we want this argument to take data, we're going to say it wants an arg. So we'll just say it wants one argument, and it will be action. So this will be the action. So you could say -a action, and it will be let's just say it'll be a string for now. And then this is the really important part. We have to set this thing called wants data to true. So what this is going to do is say when the argument parser calls our function right here, our action, that it will give it this data right here. It will give it the data passed in after the argument. So this is very, very, very important if we want anything else with the data to work. And an even more important part is our type here, and we're going to set this as nf. nf specifies that it's not a flag, and that it takes an argument. So this is also saying that we're going to take data. So these are actually the two most important behind aliases and name: wants data and type nf. Of course, if you just want, like, say a -vx or something to give a version, then you would not specify type nf or wants data. Also, wants data does not work without type nf. Okay, and then we're just going to do the final step, which is call the argparse function. And this will take 3 arguments. The first thing is going to be our options. So this will just say, these are the options I want the parser to look for. And then we're going to pass in true. What this true is doing, it's saying, do we want a help command or not? So if I put false, the -h and -help would do nothing unless I specified it here. This can, if you set this to false and you want a help command, you can also define your own help command here, in case you want your own styling. And the last thing is going to be if we pass in pj. This is our package.json if you don't remember, and this will allow the -version command to work. Okay, and let's go ahead and try it out. So if we run it with no arguments, it doesn't work. But if we were to run it with -a, here we go. So if we run it with our -a flag, it says requires data because of course it wants data. So if we run it with -a, we'll just say argparse. Then it's going to console.log our data. We could make this function here do anything. So let's just say console.log, and we'll do like color.green. Color.green. And then a string, and we'll just give it our data. There we go. So now whenever we run it, it will give us our data in green, so I could put any data I wanted here. And it would put it in there. And all you would have to do if you wanted to add a different option was make a new option, of course with different aliases and names. And then since we specified true, we should have a -h for help. There it is. And as you can see, our action flag is here. And it says it takes arguments action string, and then our description of the action to perform. And if we run -v or -- version, it should give us the current version as specified in our package.json. Oh, but uh-oh, here's a little error here. So I think this is actually with our package.json. So maybe if I pass in here, so I actually don't know why it's been doing this, but my package.json always is under a default for some reason. So if I pass in package.json.default, then it should just get that data. So let's go ahead and run it again. Okay, so we got our name, but it's still giving us undefined here. It's because we don't have a version in our package.json. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this as 1.0.0. And then we run it again, and boom, there's our version. And of course we can change this. I could make this 5.8.2, and it would do that, and all that. But say if we didn't pass in this package.json and tried to run -- version, it would give you unavailable, no package.json argument passed. And you can fix this by importing your package.json and passing it in here. Again, you probably won't have to use this .default. I don't know why mine is doing it, but if it is giving you an undefined error, you might want to pass in this default and see what happens. Okay, thank you for watching. That was how to make a simple command line interface. You can build off of this, make your own commands, get data. Some suggestions I have is making maybe a weather CLI, so you could put a location and it would give you like the current weather, the forecast, a few things like that. You can make pretty much anything you want with this. Just make some new actions, make some new options, and do all that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.